Story 1. In my case, I avoided anything social. I did not talk to anyone at work, and I did not reach out to family or friends. I just kind of wanted to quietly disappear, I guess. Story 2. They do not ask about you or how you are feeling. There is no curiosity about other people at all, inward looking to the point of appearing narcissistic. Story 3. Their private spaces, home, room, car, are a disaster, messy and dirty. A total lack of care for your space can reflect very low self-worth. Story 4. To be honest, if someone chooses to be alone when everyone in the room is not, they have given up and found no meaning in relationships, not even platonic or family ones. They watch everyone else be liked, get married, and have best friends. They think about every time they tried to be somebody, but nobody met them halfway. Accepting that you are dying alone, that you will never have support or someone to talk to, is miserable. Everyone else takes it for granted. Life seems more worthwhile on the other side, but nothing is worth having your hopes crushed again and again for no reason. At least you can have a pet and not carry the weight of someone caring about or needing you. Story 5. An extraordinary amount of empathy and genuine selflessness is, to me, a sign that someone has experienced absolute misery and does not want others to feel the same way. Another example is when someone frequently talks about how happy they are and how amazing their life is, bringing it up without being asked, trying to convince you that they are doing just fine. Story 6. Anyone who posts a paragraph on social media bragging about their partner just seems unhappy to me. It feels like an obligatory Valentine's Day or birthday public display. Something else is going on behind the screen. Story 7. They have a miserable expression on their face. That sounds obvious, but most people ignore it. People who feel down do not seem to notice until it is mentioned that they indeed look miserable. Story 8. For me, it is the self-deprecating jokes and the way I go out of my way for others. Two of my friends told me that they love how I am always looking out for them. I did not notice that about myself until they said it. They told me I am like a mother, always caring for them and making sure they are okay. I realized it is because I did not have someone like that, so I try to be that person for someone else. Story 9. People who only talk about material things and judge others for not having the latest car, iPhone, computer, or brand clothing. Story 10. Here's a strange case, but I think variations of it are fairly common. I had a divorced colleague, childless, who was in the prime of his life, late 30s to early 40s, in peak physical condition, good looks, and had basically removed himself from society to read everything Henry James had written. For those unfamiliar with this author, he is reputed to be a difficult, long-winded novelist whom many current readers find frustratingly boring. I am not necessarily of that opinion, but that is his reputation. At first, I thought it was an interesting passion for my friend, but I began to see that it was clearly a coping mechanism and an extreme form of escapism. For 2 years, I would come by his office, and he would always have another Henry James book by his computer. He didn't read or do much else. Essentially, he became a hermit and stopped socializing. Interestingly, at the same time, he started getting into fragrances and buying colognes. Lots of them, running into the hundreds of bottles and an unknown amount of money spent. I am not a psychologist, but my sense is that the divorce crushed him, and reading Henry James gave him a purposeful and prolonged distraction from his real-life misery. When I picture him sitting on his sofa on a Friday night reading The Wings of the Dove while basking in his latest scent purchase, I feel overwhelmingly sad for him. Has anyone noticed similar behavior in people you know? Story 11. Speaking as someone currently fighting serious mental health battles. Seclusion. I have pulled away from group chats, social events, my family, and my friends. It's all too much. I can mask with the best of them, but it is exhausting. Sudden changes in hygiene. I don't care that my hair is a mess. It's matting and I just don't care. If my partner wasn't making me, I probably wouldn't shower more than once a week or maybe not at all. It just takes too much energy and effort. Spacing out. Even when I am in social settings like the lounge room watching a show with my family, there are times when I'm not really there. Sometimes I don't even know where I go. My brain is just off or running me through horrific scenarios or blaming myself. Then suddenly I'm back. Lack of emotional response. Things that used to make me happy don't. Things that used to disgust me don't. Seeing sad or horrific things has little to no effect on me. My kids telling me about school. I fake a smile but I feel nothing. I am either empty or miserable. Story 12. They keep talking badly about other people all the time and have nothing positive to say about anyone who is not present. Story 13. For me, I do not want to listen to any music anymore. I can mildly tolerate classical instrumental music, but anything with lyrics feels fake and meaningless. Story 14. They attack and cause conflict with everyone around them. They criticize other people who display the characteristics or qualities they wish they had. Everyone else is always the problem. It is not much of a secret once you notice these behaviors. Story 15. Lifelong depression since the age of 11. I start by thinking I am a weight for people, so I do not reach out and cancel social catch-ups. I get the dead depression eyes and very dark under-eye circles. I am constantly sleeping but do not get restorative sleep. I am more snappy. I cannot remember what it is like to feel joy or peace. Story 16. I did not have a sign to say, but I just started reading the comments and am now realizing I might be the miserable one considering I can relate to many of them. Story 17. It is far more common and a significant issue in society. There is an epidemic of loneliness caused by several factors, but mainly it is because the world we live in is troubled, and over time it affects you. I would not say I am miserable, but I am lonely at times. Story 18. Probably social media usage. Different aspects include the types of content people engage with, how often they comment, and the nature of their comments. Insulting someone online is a common behavior. Another is simply being overly contrarian. Story 19. The way they treat strangers or people in general shows a serious lack of the ability to demonstrate true empathy. Story 20. For me, it is when I do not even care about listening to music anymore. Maybe classical instrumental, but other than that, it holds no joy for me. I would rather sit in silence. Story 21. Constantly being judged or undermined makes you miserable. Having people in your life who continuously pick on you and criticize or insult you makes you feel worthless. Sadly, I am experiencing that right now. Story 22. I go out almost every night and go to sleep very early in the morning. I sleep for maybe 4 to 5 hours a day. I do not want to be alone at home, and when I am alone, I play games and try not to think about anything because I do not want to be alone with my thoughts. I do not want the day to end because I do not want tomorrow to happen. It is going to be difficult, and I just want to stop feeling what I am feeling. People think I go out every night because I am a party animal or a sports addict. I just do not want to be home or alone with my thoughts. Story 23. You will see it in their eyes. People do not really understand how much an eye can tell you about a person. Unless they are psychopaths who can truly manipulate people emotionally, you will definitely see it in their eyes. How their eyes are resting, how they make eye contact, how glossy they are. No matter how great their social acting skills are, you will be able to see it. If you are an empath, you will know what I am talking about. The other day, I saw an interview with Samuel Altman. The first time I saw him live or in a video, he appeared miserable and sad. He tries to hide it like any public figure, but his eyes revealed it. I just feel he is really going through a lot. Story 24. They often turn down invitations to parties and functions, even if their friends are there. They don't post to social media often or, conversely, post all the time but never really interact with anyone. They are never the one to reach out first. They are thrilled to hear from you but won't initiate contact. They smile, but it never seems to reach their eyes. They might be like a cheerleader to everyone else but never say nice things about themselves or put themselves down in subtle ways. They give gifts to others but refuse or try to avoid receiving any. I struggle with depression, anxiety, and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I grew up in a poor family where I was the overlooked child and my older sister was the favored child. If I wasn't being ignored, I was often being bullied or abused. I also have chronic health issues but was frequently ignored, had my pain downplayed, or was outright told I was faking for attention. I do these things because I often feel I don't deserve happiness or to feel happy. I feel like a constant burden on my friends and the people I care about. I always hype or encourage others, but often put myself down because I don't feel I deserve that same energy or effort. I will stand up for others if I feel they are being bullied, but when I am bullied and put down, I feel like that is what I naturally deserve and don't fight back. I feel like I should give gifts to those who put up with me, but receiving a gift feels like getting something I don't deserve. When I receive a gift, I treat it like an object in a museum. It is displayed or tucked away somewhere safe so I can't possibly ruin it. The memory makes me smile and feel warm, but it also makes me feel the gift is too precious for someone like me to have. I smile often and seem like a bubbly, happy person because I read that people who tried to take their own lives said if someone had smiled or acknowledged their existence, they might not have attempted. As someone who attempted once, if I can do such a small thing and help someone else not feel like I do, I will do it. Sorry if this was heavy. I am sharing this because I hope it helps someone who might be hiding how they feel and probably needs help. Story 25. Too involved with social media unless it is for work. In that case, they may be miserable but hopefully wealthy. Story 26. Bullying, ragging on other people, and gossiping are harmful behaviors. They reflect negatively on those who engage in them. Story 27. Probably not a sign that someone is secretly miserable, but since I am miserable, it might as well be. I try to make my friends feel loved and cared for. Story 28. Personally speaking, I am looking forward to sleep. Very little excites me anymore except my children. I love coming home to them and seeing them grow. Story 29. Not meeting people's eyes when they talk. Not smiling or looking down in general when they do not think people are looking. Sometimes, appearing overly happy to compensate. Story 30. A huge sign is that all they do is criticize others and constantly troll or harass other people for no reason. They should focus on improving themselves. Story 31. Mean attitude, aggressive without reason, hates many things and loves nothing except harmful things. Depressed men often act poorly instead of getting help. Please seek help. Story 32. A constant need to rain on someone's parade, unable to be happy for other people's achievements or success, always criticizing and unwilling to accept the consequences. People who do nothing but spread negativity are exhausting. Story 33. They cannot be happy for others. I do not know, but when Tony Hawk does something cool like putting Bam Margera back into the Pro Skater remake, it just puts a smile on my face. I do not know why it cannot make others happy. Story 34. Becoming very passive, not initiating or joining activities, and not even arguing back sometimes is a sign a person does not have it in them. Story 35. Those who know me well understand that a super tidy and clean apartment is a bad sign. Restlessness and anxiety have won that day. Feelings of guilt, shame, and lack of self-worth needed to be silenced. In movies and television, a messy apartment is always shorthand for a bad mental state. The opposite can be just as true. Story 36. When everything you once loved now feels empty, even the one hobby that used to motivate you no longer excites you. Feels like you have no purpose, but you still have to live. Did I get it right? Well, that's how I feel. Story 37. If they are a workaholic or mow the lawn every day, nobody wants to spend that much time away from their house or spouse. Story 38. They never spend money on themselves. They feel they do not deserve it because their self-worth is very low. Story 39. I think it is in their eyes. The spark is gone, and so is their enthusiasm for things they used to love, like writing, listening to and enjoying music, going for walks, paying attention to the little things that used to bring them joy. The moment they start giving their things away, things they loved and collected, and when they simply do not care about spending time with those they once called friends. By the way, I do not know if miserable is the right term, but sad and giving up are some of the evident things I notice when that is happening. On a personal level, their tone of voice changes, how they respond compared to how they usually did before to conversations and interactions, how they write, and how difficult it becomes for them to put into words how they feel. And when they simply do not answer the question and keep skipping it altogether. I think the signs one might see are directly associated with the type of closeness you have with the person in question. Whatever the case, do not forget to check on the ones you care for and love. Story 40. Sometimes the people who are hard to love need it the most. My husband's aunt is difficult to be around. She never has a kind thing to say and is always negative about everything. She has no self-regulation and has emotional meltdowns over the smallest things. I would describe her as a miserable person, but then I think about how she came to be and regret how I feel about her. Her husband is an alcoholic, her only son is essentially mute, and she has had about 10 miscarriages. Story 41. They are always jealous and complain about everything. She has nice hair, but she only looks after herself and does not care about her children. Went on vacation and said it was too hot, the service was not good, and more. We all know someone who is secretly miserable. We just think they are grumpy. Story 42. Not bothering to entertain themselves. No phone, book, talking, etc. Just staring and thinking. No facial expressions. Story 43. When they stopped doing hobbies, if they had one, something they enjoyed doing, and now you never see it happening, it is likely there is something weighing on them that they cannot find their way out of. Story 44. Damn Reddit, you have me worried about everyone now. Over 700 comments later, I have learned one thing. People are really good at hiding pain and misery behind a fake smile. Thank you for opening up and sharing your insights. Everyone. Original poster. Story 45. I joke about killing myself a lot. I won't do it, but if I can't joke about it, I probably would. I only recently found out that I have been suffering from depression my whole life and didn't know it because my parents didn't think mental health was a real issue. Story 46. They are uncharacteristically happy. This is especially worrying if they abruptly become extremely happy out of the blue because that is often a sign that someone has actual plans to end their life. Story 47. If they spend a great deal of time at work even when the job is toxic and when there is not much work requiring that much time at the office, either they are a raging workaholic or their home life is truly depressing. Story 48. I am very talkative. I am used to being in a large family and always surrounded by friends. Now I am in a new place, and I feel like I want to talk to people all the time. It is only because I am lonely, and I crave human connection with people here. Story 49. They laugh at everything, but nothing actually seems funny to them. They say, I'm just tired all the time, but they are never really rested. They avoid being alone with their thoughts, always needing background noise or distractions like music or scrolling, anything to avoid sitting in silence. Story 50. When someone suddenly withdraws or stops caring about things they used to love, it is usually a quiet cry for help. Story 51. They do not like others enjoying things. I see many people complaining about kids or adults enjoying activities like Lego, cosplay, and even mundane things like local sports. You are just miserable and you are jealous that people are enjoying life. Story 52. Depends on the person, but the person who smiles the most is usually smiling to avoid a conversation. This was the case for me at least. Story 53. They laugh a lot, but it never really reaches their eyes. They are always busy or tired, avoid deep conversations, and brush things off with, I am fine. They keep themselves distracted so they do not have to sit with their thoughts. Story 54. They cannot bring themselves to do anything but then hate themselves for not doing anything in the first place. They see other people always on holiday, going out, attending festivals, and surrounded by friends. While feeling envious, they do not want those things for themselves and would happily leave them behind. They make any excuse to avoid having something nice that they know they would like if they had it. For example, a home that is lovely and well within budget is dismissed without interest, even though their current place is unpleasant. This is classic depression. Story 55. Always trying to convince others they are not. Constantly boasting about how much more money they make than you, how much better looking they are, how much more active their personal lives are, how impressive their cars are compared to yours, and how they can do whatever they want without listening to you because they believe they are superior. Story 56. Gaining a lot of weight because they are eating their feelings, seeking comfort, or because they stopped caring about anything. Conversely, losing a lot of weight because they do not have an appetite, are stressed, or it is the one thing they can control when they cannot control anything else. I have experienced both of these at different times. Story 57. I do not mean this in a political way, But people supporting Donald Trump seem extremely miserable and disguise their pain by acting gleefully at other people's suffering. Story 58. Impoliteness shows me that a person must be very unhappy inside. People have lost their manners since the coronavirus pandemic. Story 59. Constantly posting how happy and successful they are on Instagram, even worse if they post the same on LinkedIn. Story 60. All they do is complain about everyone else. If you are happy, you do not notice or judge what others are doing. You do not try to control other people's lives. Story 61. Spending endless hours scrolling through other people's social media, sleeping all day, not bathing, and looking for microaggressions in every interaction. Story 62. A person who spends their time talking about others from an envious position, although this is not secret, is rather evident. Story 63. If a person is without money or unemployed, you can be sure that they are unhappy or working in a job that is not their dream and earning a low salary. Story 64. Weight loss. I say this from personal experience. I went through some very serious depression issues, and when I am upset, I have to force myself to eat. I was subsisting on one power bar and some fruit daily. I had been quite small to start with, and my body mass index fell into the underweight category. Everyone around me was always complimenting me on how great I looked. A few people asked me what my secret was. I told them, crippling depression and 0 will to live. They laughed and said, "That's funny." No, really, what is it? That really was it. I have gotten my mental health under control, my body back to a healthy weight, and feel so much better now. The only thing I miss is that I could always get great deals on clothing because the tiny sizes were always the only ones left on clearance. Story 65. Avoid thinking by constantly feeding data to yourself. Avoid anything that would stop the flow of data and interrupt your thinking, such as showering, doing dishes, trying to fall asleep, or driving. Anywhere you cannot maintain the sensory override. When you have to sit still for a short time, you become upset. Story 66. When people do not have much going on in life, they disappear. However, when you see them, they are optimistic and pleasant to be around because they are pretending and are very aware of how others perceive them. Story 67. I lost a lot of weight. Seeing old pictures, I look thin but not in a good way. I looked older somehow too. Even though I hate putting weight back on, I know it is a sign that I am in a healthier headspace. Story 68. If someone is always pleasant and cheerful for no reason, they are secretly miserable. That is less obvious than a constantly angry person. Story 69. The person becomes apathetic. Isolate yourself. Favorite foods are no longer desired. Whether or not you are called to something, it does not matter. Story 70. When people cannot stand to see someone feeling proud of their work, they criticize the smallest details or spread gossip about them. It is like kicking sandcastles. Story 71. Putting others down. They feed off the negative reactions of the people they upset because it is exciting for them. Your life must be difficult to be doing all that. Story 72. They laugh a little too loudly, smile a little too quickly, and always say, "I am fine," before you even finish asking how they are. Story 73. Looking at my top-rated Reddit comments, they are about a depressing topic or self-deprecating jokes masking real pain. Story 74. In my case, it was attention-seeking because my relationship with my parents was horrible at that time. I thought my worth was based on how much people noticed me and liked me. Story 75. It is interesting how miserable can mean angry and resentful or unhappy and forlorn, and how people interpret those behaviors in this thread. Most answers clearly fall into one of the two definitions, but not both. Story 76. 1. Everything that belongs to others is not good. It has to be criticized, and everything that comes from this person is right and better. 2. People who take everything to the level of discussion think that everything is a personal attack. 3. People who think that their only way of doing things and living life is good. Story 77. When original poster says, "secretly miserable," my brain immediately goes to that one coworker who is always like living the dream, with dead eyes and a laugh that sounds like it is trying to escape their body. You just know they scream into a pillow every night. From my perspective, I can say that when you do not care about what will happen tomorrow or if there is still a tomorrow to come. Story 78. For me, I did not respond when people said the routine, "Hi, how is it going?" or whatever the equivalent is. You are supposed to answer fine or good. I ignored the question and changed the subject. Story 79. You can see it in their eyes. When someone is not happy, even if they are good at hiding it, it will show naturally. Story 80. They have a high level of neuroticism, including anger, anxiety, depression, tendency to overreact, and paranoia. Story 81. A fun, outgoing person who never sticks around long because it is an act that gets tiring quickly. I know what people want to see and be happy, and that makes me likable. I am always invited out and to be closer with someone, but I never let anything go past casual socializing in passing. I lack interest in anything. I don't enjoy food, getting up, experiencing things, accomplishing things, anything. It is hard to fake interest in anything for long. I still force myself to work out every day, work on my house a bit, and help my neighbors, but feeling motivation, joy, or accomplishment over anything is gone. It makes living life cheap and easy. I don't look forward to nice meals, so I cook chicken breasts. I am 40 years old. I own my home in a nice Connecticut beach area. I don't work anymore but have some savings. I work 1 day a week part-time and do other odd jobs. I quit my work-from-home technical support job at 39 after hating the job for months. I was doing fine at my job, but I could not handle it anymore and quit one day. I really should find a job and get health insurance again, but I have no drive to. I have no drive to do or accomplish anything. I have buried myself in my little comfort hole for 2 years now, barely socializing with anyone. I live a low-cost life and am able to save money like this, but I am not contributing to my retirement account and have no health insurance. I feel like I am just waiting for something horrible to happen. Story 82. For me, I stopped using social media and removed my display picture. I stopped posting status updates and would constantly annoy my friends with messages, followed by periods of total withdrawal. Story 83. A big cortisol belly and face. I had it when I was at the lowest point of my life. Stressed out, could not sleep, depressed, and overweight. Stress-induced cortisol belly is different from just being overall overweight. I have a friend who is currently going through a hard time, and she has the same body shape from stress. Story 84. A friend of mine posts red pill memes often in our group chat, and he complains about women all the time. We do not respond to anything he posts and let him tire himself out, but it is pathetic and shows he is a miserable person. Story 85. On the surface, they seem quiet and reserved, but inside they are emotionally fragile and prone to sudden outbursts. Story 86. For the first time in my entire life, I have social anxiety, and I am avoiding interacting with people. It seems to be getting worse. It is difficult. Story 87. Is it bad that every top comment is literally describing me? I never thought I was miserable. I mean, I don't think I am. I feel fatigued and empty a lot, though. It's just that I frequently feel numb for no particular reason. I find that music helps me conceptualize my emotions the most, including joyful, angry, sad, and romantic emotions. Story 88. People who are very financially wealthy, yet they act like the poorest humans in the world. They crave attention, show off, use money to harm others, and bypass the law. Story 89. I would not say I am miserable necessarily, but I am at a point where I do not derive true joy from anything anymore. I am not actively sad or down day to day. I have become very withdrawn and do not have the energy or focus to maintain close bonds or do anything with people. That may be one way to tell. Story 90. Artificial, perfect, happy family life seen from the outside, hiding the boredom, lack of genuine self-love or love for others, and creativity within their lives. Story 91. A person who feels they are not in control and not heard may appear dead inside, emotionless or cold, then suddenly lose their temper. Story 92. I avoid interaction except with my family and girlfriend. I am not deactivating my account but am not using it. Story 93. They are overly invested in other people's business and drama. They act as if they know everything about everyone's relationships and problems but never talk about their own life. Story 94. When you ask them how they have been and they mumble, living the dream, that is the way of saying things are difficult, but I am managing, barely. Story 95. They might project a lot of negative energy without realizing it, even while trying to seem fine. For example, they will make sarcastic remarks more often, or there is a bitter undertone in their jokes. It is as if their hidden misery seeps out in these small, often subconscious ways of communicating, and you can sense that something is weighing on them even if they do not explicitly say it. Story 96. A lot of time is spent looking down at the floor because you do not want to engage with anyone. When they do engage, they ask other people about their lives to compliment them because they want to reinforce the idea and belief that everyone else's life is better than their own. Story 97. It's the people who post on social media about how happy they are, usually in the form of a square picture with fancy writing or symbolic image meant to portray peace and tranquility. The quotes are meant to inspire others, but the people posting them have a tsunami of fear and negative emotions going on. Check in with those people. Story 98. They laugh a little too loud, smile a little too long, and always say, I am fine before you even finish asking. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.